I'm Rhett.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're the House Dads. Because we're dads who sell houses.
But we're also husbands, business owners, sports freaks, Christians,
friends, marketing nerds, TV show bingers, and so many more things.
Like so many of you, we're just trying to do it all. And we're trying to do it well.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the House Dads podcast. So glad that you're joining us today. We got a good one in store for you. We like to think all of them are good. Before we get into it, I want to give you a little backstory what Rhett and I were talking about. I pulled out my Nike today while he's dressed up all nice. I'm pretty casual today.
We never know what we're going to wear.
Yeah.
So we should coordinate better.
We should probably text about our outfits.
Yeah, what are you going to wear today for the second episode?
The hard thing is trying not to wear the same thing over and over.
I know. I overthink it too much. I'm like, I think I wore this 2 episodes ago.
I might Steve Jobs it and just wear a black shirt every single time.
We probably need to get a House Dad shirt or something like that.
Hey, or, clothing company sponsor us.
Yeah.
I wear your stuff all the time.
You got the Nike on.
I got the Nike on, and you asked if I'd seen the new Air movie.
Yeah.
And I have not, but it looks awesome.
Yeah. There's I think it's Amazon, but it's called Air. It's the story of Nike.
Yeah.
Coming up through the 80s. But it's good. You should check it out.
Yeah, and you said Michael Jordan gets how much money?
He makes a passive income, $400 million a year off of his Jordan brand.
That's insane.
Just to pass.
Do you have a pair of Jordans?
I do not. I may probably going to push some buttons. I'm not a big fan of Jordans.
Yeah, the high top Jordans and stuff. I don't think I have a whole lot of. I don't think I have enough swagger for that.
I'm not a sneakerhead, and I don't. Yeah, if I were to just pull out some Jordans, I think people would be like, "What are you doing?"
I got a lot of Vans. That's my go-to. But I did. Courtney said, "What you want for Father's Day?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm good." And then she was like, "No, really?" And I was like, "Well, I did actually see this pair of low-top Jordans that I want that I sent to her. So I will wear them, and I will report back, and I will show you all. I'll put them up here." And so we'll see.
And know that Michael Jordan's getting a check. So
a fat check, like he needs more. But anyway, so we got a good one in store for you today. We're going to be talking about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And you may be like, okay, well, growth mindset. But no, too much of either can be a bad thing, or not enough of either can be a bad thing. So we're going to be talking about that growth mindset versus fixed mindset today.
Yeah, and I wanted to open up with just kind of telling you the thinking that I think I may have a little too much growth mindset.
What do you mean by that?
And I guess before we get into it, you may be wondering what the heck growth mindset is.
Sure.
So you want to tell them the
growth
definition
mindset.
of it?
It's basically that your abilities, your intelligence, and your talents can be developed through time. Like you just put more effort, more learning, and more perseverance, and that your personal qualities and skills are not fixed traits, but they can be cultivated and enhanced over time. So growth mindset is simply that you can change, like you can develop, your mindset can grow, things like that. So what do you mean by too much?
So that being said, I think I may think a little too highly of my abilities and my abilities to learn. I don't know if I'm in my prime or maybe I'm probably past my prime. But and Brandy, she bears with me, but I just kind of go through these like spells of new hobbies. Like I don't really have a set hobby, but there's things that I see and I'm inspired by, and I'm like, I think I can do that.
Right.
I think I can be that. So just to list a few in the past 5 to 7 years.
Oh, here we go.
I've bought it's actually called a cyclocross bike, but like cycling. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to bike 30 miles a day.
I could see you in one of those like one-piece cycling outfits.
I was like looking up nutrition. Like, am I supposed to eat normal or should I eat differently?
Dude, that's awesome.
And I did like about a week. It was not 30 miles.
Did you watch like the Tour de France or something?
No, I think I just met a guy who like I just respected the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
I was like, I can get into this, but it lasted maybe 2 weeks. Photography. I bought a camera. I was like, maybe I'll be a photographer. Cool. Didn't last very long. Probably the most outlandish one that only lasted a week.
Sure.
I was like, you know what? I think I can get into jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that would be fun.
And this was probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So at this point, I was like, Brandy, are you like
cool with this?
Would you be okay? Like, I could get cauliflower ear. Would you be okay with that?
Would you still love me?
I would look a little deformed. And she knew at this point to be like, sure, Rhett, do your thing. With the latest one, we had our girls' dance recital this past weekend. And it's cute. You got the little toddlers up there. But there's also the more skilled dancers that dance. Yeah. The instructors do a little routine. And it's cool, man. I'm not going to lie. I see them up there. Like, there's hip-hop dance, there's ballet.
I was about to say, what kind of dance is this?
Yeah, there's mixtures.
Okay.
But it's just one of those when you're watching it in the moment, you get inspired. Uh-huh. So I asked Brandy, I was like, do you think I should start taking dance lessons? She was like, shut up.
Okay, good.
Gosh.
So she's called. I'm like,
yeah, it wears off.
What would you do with this dance?
No, I don't want to like do the whole like years of practice thing. I just want to be good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's cool, like a hidden talent. Like, wow, I didn't know Red actually did ballet. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's what. I don't know.
I don't want to learn it though.
I don't like not being good at something. I don't think anybody loves that, no matter what. And so I kind of stick to the things that I already naturally gravitate towards. And so my hobbies consist of a lot of sports watching, and then as much golf and fishing that I can do. You know, but I don't nearly get to do the golf and the fishing that I would like.
Time is the main thing.
The unrealistic part of it would be me trying to be good at golf, because I'm just terrible at it, but I would really like to be good at it. So,
so I say all that to say, like, my brain, it doesn't quite like sometimes stop me at reality. I'm like, I think I could really do this. Like if I put my mind to it, which, I think you can, but you got to think about logistics of timing and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's just kind of like big moments, big, extreme examples.
Right.
But we're going to be talking about, more minor things, like just you being in a situation of maybe comparison, or should I post this or not on social media, or do I have the ability to be a top producer in real estate? Sure. It's just kind of thinking past those little moments that hit you, that prevent you from doing bigger things.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that was growth mindset. This episode is about growth versus a fixed mindset. So you may be wondering what a fixed mindset is, and surprise, surprise, it's the opposite. But it's the belief that abilities and intelligence are fixed traits that cannot be changed significantly. People with fixed mindsets, they're avoiding challenges, whether it's out of fear of failure, discouragement of setbacks, but they believe their abilities are predetermined and limited. They're like, look, I'm only this good. It is what it is. I can't improve.
Right. So. It's kind of like, do people change or not? I totally think, and thank God I have changed. People do change, and that, a growth mindset is an important one to have as opposed to a fixed mindset. But like you said, you could maybe try and grow in too many areas and not really grow at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're again practicing, trying to practice what we preach. We by no means have this figured out. I mean, I don't. I can't speak for Brandon.
No, I do have it figured out.
But I mean, we do have.
I'm kidding.
We do have the ability to think bigger and have growth mindset. But even, you run a brokerage. I have a team. I'm almost 2 years into having a team. But man, before starting that, I really did think, I had a fixed mindset with it. I was like, man, how do I justify agents voluntarily saying, yeah, Red, I'm going to be under your leadership,
right?
Be on your team, embrace your systems and processes. And it prevented me from starting it. Honestly, I probably would have started it much sooner, but I did have that fixed mindset before starting it.
Fixed mindset as in like you felt like you didn't have enough to offer them?
Yeah, I felt like I wasn't a good enough leader to do that. I was like, look, I'm good at selling solo. I'm doing well.
Right.
Who am I to step out to offer
Yeah,
that?
and I think that I had a fixed mindset in the opposite sense. Is that a lot of times I think I was so prideful that I was like, man, I have so much to offer, and I am all of these things. And like that fixed mindset was just as damaging as yours was.
Right.
Because like it halted me from being teachable and coachable and being able to learn and adapt and things like that. So, I think breaking out of those fixed mindsets that we have is so important. And so that's one that I definitely am working my way out of.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is growth versus a fixed mindset. And you may already be thinking as you're listening, all right, I've got a pretty good growth mindset, or okay, you got me, I got a fixed mindset. But people that have growth mindset, they often don't quite acknowledge that there are people that have fixed mindsets. Not everybody's like you. They don't have it all figured out.
And I think that in certain areas, like we can have a growth mindset. Like I notice in my life, particularly, like I have an overall pretty growth oriented mindset, but it's not in every area of my life.
Right.
That like we may be wanting to grow in business and grow in something else, but like with our marriage, we're not, or with our family, we're not. Yeah. In so different ways. I think that as we go through this, you'd be like, oh, I got this all figured out. But it's like, no, you may be growing in one area, but you're pretty fixed with how you deal with your friends, or how you deal with your family, or how you deal with something else.
Yeah, should have said that disclaimer there. We're not talking about just business by any means.
Right.
Like it's naturally going to go to that, like our goals and career-wise.
For sure.
But by all means, like that's what we're going through as parents of like, okay, I don't know if we have the ability to parent toddlers right now, as hard
for
at
sure.
it as
I
it
cannot
is.
be fixed in that mindset because we got to learn.
It's a lot. But parenting and like you say, marriage, it's so many different things. But people may ask the question, why do people even have a fixed mindset? Or what me personally, why do I have a fixed mindset? What is it that's making me hit a ceiling of I'm good. I can't improve anymore.
Right. Right.
So we have a list of a few things of why people do that. Just kind of going through them and add some
sure.
Constructive stuff if you have some. But the first one, it's funny because we just had opposites of like, I didn't think I was good enough. You thought you were too good.
Right.
But the first one is praise and criticism.
Yep.
So if there's an excessive amount of either, criticism is easy enough because like if people keep criticizing you, telling you you're not good enough, maybe you had an upbringing of like, not really much acceptance, or you had a group of friends that just kind of knock you down all the time. Yeah, that's going to limit your thinking.
Yeah, right? You eventually end up believing what they say is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's on two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Growing up, thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. Like, oh, he can play football. He must be great at everything. And so, that can definitely keep you in a fixed mindset.
It's funny in parenting, like, you want our kids to like feel empowered and special, but there's been times where I tell our kids, I'm like, hey, this ain't about you. Yeah. Like you're not that special right now. Like there's other kids that are,
that's right,
need some love too.
Now, maybe this is better for a parenting episode, but I will tell you this, and I'm exactly with you. I have to watch myself for being too critical for Max, my oldest, just because he can understand a little bit more. I mean, I pump him up like crazy, but one thing my parents did so well is make me feel like I was the best thing since sliced bread. Your parents love you, take care of you. Right. Same for mine too. And my dad told me, and I asked him this afterwards, I was like, man, I didn't realize life was going to be so hard. Because honestly, growing up in your house, like I had it so good.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? The world was going to do a good enough job humbling you that I didn't have to.
Yep.
And he's so right.
Yeah,
like when I got out in the real world and fell on my face a couple of times myself, I'm like, man, I'm not that good at these other things.
Yeah.
So, I would definitely rather more praise than more criticism, but
and it's
either
like,
one can keep us.
You
there.
have two boys, I have two girls, so my natural tendencies with girls are like, hey, you're beautiful, like just kind of spoil them a little bit,
right?
But and I don't. We're expecting our third. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl.
Exciting, dude.
But my thinking is like, man, if it's a boy, I don't really know what to do. Is there that much nurture? Do you feel like you nurture your kids a lot?
I do.
Nurture them, yes.
I do. I feel like I'm definitely more on that side of things. I mean, I'm really with my boys, man. And it's the same with Courtney too. I'm a big words of affirmation guy.
Yeah.
And so like the boys hear how proud I am and how much I love them and how handsome and tough and strong and all these things that they are 100 times a day.
Yeah.
And Courtney hears all those same affirmations and stuff like that too. So I try. The hard thing is though, is that with my criticism, like it can be pretty stern too. So balancing them to where they understand that the criticism is, coming out of love
for
too.
sure.
But
so
I don't know if it'll change. We're going to go for 3 too. Like if it's going to be a girl, is it going to be different? I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with your boy, you could probably be a little bit tougher and things like that.
So. We'll see what it is. We'll
see.
We'll go from there.
Cool.
But too much or excessive amount of praise or criticism can
keeping that fixed
keep
mindset.
people in that fixed mindset.
Yep.
The next one I think everyone has at some point in their life, and that's a fear of failure.
It's big, dude.
Right. So if people they're fearing that if they don't do it and they fail at it, then they're a failure.
Exactly.
So they don't even try to do it.
Like why even try and have a growth mindset and improve your thinking and improve your life? Because then if you try and you don't succeed, you look like a failure.
Yep.
As opposed to just saying, well, I'm just going to say the same, and then I never have to try and I never have to fail. But failure is a big
Stay in their comfort zone. They don't want to try new things. They're like, look, I know what I'm good at, and I don't want to get any better at it. I'm just good where I am. I'm content. So they're fearing that failure. Third one, again, everybody, comparison with others.
Yeah.
You compare yourself, constant comparison, it contributes to that fixed mindset.
That's right.
So you're thinking you're not good enough, or this person, you're comparing, like we've talked episodes, you're comparing their chapter 8 with your chapter 1, and you think, I can't stack up. I'm not even going to try.
Right.
And it's.
I think another part of this too is people who have a fixed mindset comparing themselves and putting other people beneath them.
Yeah.
Is like they don't feel like they need to consider outside opinions. They feel like they don't need to grow in their thinking because they've already got it figured out. Yeah. They're already smarter. Right. They've already got a better understanding than everybody else, and so they don't grow. I think that's a big block for people actually having a growth mindset and having a fixed mindset.
Absolutely. Comparison in either fashion is always, probably need to do a whole episode on comparison, but
I think
that is what contributes to some with a fixed mindset. Another one is past experiences and environment. So, again, we don't know what people go through, but they could have had an environment or an upbringing where they just didn't quite give those words of affirmation, or they didn't quite tell them, hey, you can do these things. They just kind of said, I'm good enough. I don't need to get any better.
Yeah. Yeah. Just groupthink, like, hey, this is how you were raised. And you're never going to move out of here. You're never going to do better than here. You're never going to graduate from high school. When you're around those experiences and environment and stuff like that, that can be who you become, and it keeps you stuck in that same thought process.
So whether it's a past experience or your current environment.
Exactly.
If you're in a current environment where that doesn't facilitate
keeps you in a fixed mindset.
Keeps you there.
Yeah.
Last one we have is a lack of awareness. People just, it could, again, attribute to their environment. They're just not aware, wait, I can do. They don't have anyone telling them, I can do these things, or I can get better, or I can improve. So they're just not aware of it.
Right.
And they're just sitting there.
Right. I think that's the key, is that it's easy for us, and it's easy for you probably listening to this episode to say, okay, well, I'm growing like as a father, or I'm growing as a brother, or as I'm growing as a husband or a business owner, but we're neglecting other areas of our lives that we're not growing. Right. And I think if we're not growing in those areas of our lives, then we're inevitably falling backwards. I mentioned this in the last podcast, that the next season always requires more of us than the past. Mm-hmm. So if we're not growing in those areas of our lives, then if the next season's requiring more of us, it's almost like our car is parked on an upward slope. And so if we're not going forward, it's in neutral, dude, and you heading backwards. So sure. In all the areas of our lives, we need to be growing. So assess those different areas of our life and say, hey, where am I not doing well? And make sure that you're focusing on growing that and developing that growth mindset. So self-awareness is huge.
Yep.
Huge.
So, those are some reasons of why people have fixed mindset. So, as always, we want to uplift you and encourage you, not just leave you, hey, this is why you're struggling. We want to give you reasons on how you can develop a growth mindset. So, as with anything, it requires some work. Sorry.
Right.
You're going to have to put some...
We talked about that before. Imagine that. Good things require work.
You're gonna have to put some sweat into
it.
It
Doesn't just come easy.
But we have a list of things of how to develop a growth mindset. So we will go through them here. But the first one is good news. You're already doing it.
Yep.
You learn about the concept.
Learn about it.
You read books. You listen to podcasts. You become aware, and that can spark a little desire and interest to like, okay, I can do it. I think I see people doing it. I'm learning about it. I'm hearing about it. I think I can do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my mind went somewhere else. Talking about people thinking things are easy. Mm-hmm. We mentioned that right before you got into this. I'm sorry.
You're good.
How many people ask you, bro? I'm going to get my real estate license. Get it all the time.
Too many, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what? I hate what I do. I want to come be a realtor.
Yeah, I'm not really doing well what I'm doing, so I'm going to
do something else. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's not just as easy as it's cracked up to be, everybody, but, anyway.
I got those a lot during COVID, or like those 2 years, because it was relatively easy.
And especially now, too, with the economy the way that it is, and people just kind of being stuck in their jobs. It's like, let me find something easy. And that's not everybody.
No.
Now, I know somebody that just asked me recently is going to be like, oh, he's talking about me. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other person. Okay? So.
Yeah, if things about you, it could be.
Yeah, maybe.
No, but first one was learning about the concept. Second one is embrace challenges.
It's good.
Man, life is not easy. You're going to get challenges. So if you have the mindset of it's going to come, and when it comes, I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah,
right?
The challenge itself is an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
We can be stuck in a fixed mindset if when a challenge does come, we're like, oh, nope, I'm going to avoid that. Like we said, good things come through work.
Yep.
And so we got to work through those challenges. Otherwise, we're never going to grow.
Yep.
You don't get social promotions in life.
No.
Do you remember social promotions back in school? No. Like where, like if somebody failed the same grade over and over and over, they had just failed it so many times they got socially promoted because they were too old. You ever heard of that?
No.
So we had a kid in junior high. I went to Denham Junior High. His name was Arkell. Okay.
R. Kelly?
Arkell.
Okay.
Not R. Kelly. Arkell was in the 8th grade, and your boy had a full-grown mustache.
Nice.
And was like 6'2", and I'm like, and I'm in 6th grade at this point, dude. I'm
right.
like, what is that, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah.
And this dude, I feel like he's like 23. And I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. Listen, during breakfast one day, we're eating little square breakfast pizzas in the lunchroom.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we used to have.
Tear that up now.
Me and my buddy are sitting there, and we're in 6th grade, and I got my little glasses. I was going through my chunky phase. Hear this massive commotion behind us and stuff like that. RKL comes across the lunchroom and breaks one of the breakfast trays over a dude's head. And like the assistant principal and all this stuff comes over there and pulls him back and stuff. He's like, I don't care. I'm getting socially promoted. He had failed so many times. The next year he was moving on to 9th grade finally. And it's like, that's not how challenges work in life.
Right.
It's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep failing it, not even encountering the challenge, and I'm just going to end up moving to the next phase.
Don't work like that.
You have to grow through the challenge.
Yes. And that's the good part about them. If you embrace the challenges, you see them as an opportunity, not a threat.
That's right.
And you learn from them. You develop a new skill from it. So it's not a loss. It's just a challenge. Exactly. Don't see it as a loss. See it as a challenge.
That's right. That's good.
Next part, we kind of talked about this in a prior episode, but you emphasize effort and process. So if you focus on your effort and not the end result.
Not the destination.
Yeah. So like same with goal, like, don't focus on the goal, because if you don't hit it, you think you failed.
Right.
But really, if you fall in love with the process and you put the emphasis on that effort, that's a whole new game changer, man.
That's right.
It's
good.
You're allowing yourself to recognize that progress takes time,
right,
and that setbacks are a natural part of learning the process.
It's all part of it.
Yep.
It's good.
Next one, embracing failures as learning opportunities. It's kind of the same of what we just talked about, but it's not really a failure, unless you just didn't take anything from it. See it as a learning opportunity.
Right.
So you want to analyze what went wrong, identify lessons, and then use that knowledge to make adjustments and move forward, thus turning your failure into a win.
That's how we grow.
Yeah. Side note, these Google Docs are
freezing on you?
Creepy sometimes, because I just see that Victoria is in it right now. And I see, like, when you're in it and I'm in the same time, we're not together.
So a little behind the scenes pass. What we do is every week we'll text back and forth about the different subjects that we're thinking about talking about. And then we have a Google Doc, which is now 40-something pages long.
Yeah, it's long.
And it's a shared Google Doc. The first time I sent it, I used Courtney's Gmail account. He's like, I feel weird being in Courtney's Gmail. But so we share this Google Doc, but Victoria's got access to it. Everybody's
Victoria
got access
kind of does the marketing side of things, and she's in it right now. Shout out, Victoria. Hey.
Thanks, Victoria, for everything
we
you do.
see you in the doc.
Yes. And so we'll see Rhett in here, myself, Victoria, all of us in the same time.
I'm gonna type, hello, Victoria.
It's weird. I'm watching this happen.
So she's gonna see.
I wonder if she responds.
We'll see. Moving on. That was a big bunny trail.
Yeah, it's okay.
Next is to cultivate a positive and resilient mindset. If you want to backtrack on some of our prior episodes, we talk about mindset, positivity. But if you cultivate that and you have a positive outlook on things, that's going to allow you to grow.
Yeah.
But if you have a negative outlook, the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy, like when these challenges and opportunities for growth come, we don't see the end result. We don't get the result we desire or expected as quickly as we desired. We got to remember that moving forward slowly is still moving forward. Still moving forward. So have a positive mindset of saying, hey, even not giving up is still moving forward.
Yep.
Right? As long as you're not going backwards and not doing anything, if you're in neutral, you're going backwards. But if you're just doing something to even keep your foot on the brake from not falling backwards, you're kind of moving forward.
And part of having this mindset of resiliency and positivity, you have to practice self-compassion and self-encouragement.
That's good. Giving yourself grace.
Yeah, give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
And just be better.
Yeah.
Gosh,
that's as simple as that. Just do better.
Next one, moving along, adopt a growth-oriented language. This goes into kind of the affirmations thing we talked about. But your language
sounds
is
cheesy,
everything.
but it's true.
It does sound extremely cheesy.
Yeah.
We're right there with you.
Yeah.
I agree. But it means something. So instead of saying, it says use words and phrases that promote growth, such as, I can improve with practice. So if you fail or you think you fail, no, I can improve this with practice, or I haven't mastered this yet, but I'm going to keep trying.
Our words have so much power.
Yeah.
And my poor wife, she gets my, and this is a place that I have to show her more grace. And no, she's like, Brandon, I don't need you to fix it right now. And I do that. And if we're talking about a frustrating time or something like that, she'll say something like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, no, baby, you can. Yeah. You can. And like I'm trying to replace the words that she's saying, and I have good intentions behind that, and she knows I do, by saying, like, I know you're saying that just as an expression, but don't say that. Don't say you can't, or don't say I've had enough. Or it's like, No, you haven't. You can keep doing this. You can keep going. And so we have to be really careful about what comes out of our mouth, because when we start to speak it and give power to those different types of things, that ends up being our reality.
For sure.
And so we got to be really careful with the words that we speak. Change what you speak.
That's it's again, sounds cheesy, but it's a game changer.
Yeah, it is.
Next one I think a lot of people don't do, but it's so wise, but it's seek feedback and learn from others.
Huge.
Right? Don't be afraid to ask somebody for feedback. If you are, so one thing that, speaking of real estate, it's very common to go on listing, competitive listing opportunities.
Right.
Like, you're being interviewed and they're interviewing multiple agents to list their house. If I don't get it, I have no problem saying, totally understand. If you don't mind, would you mind sharing kind of what gave the other person the edge, or if there's something that I can improve on? I'm always looking to improve. And they always respond. And sometimes you hear something like, oh, wow.
Dang.
Yeah, that hurts. But it allows you to grow, right? Yeah. Sometimes you're like, okay, that didn't really make sense, and I get it. They just,
they just knew them or something like that.
Something like that. But seeking
I'd
others'
love to add
feedback.
to that. I've just never lost one of those listing appointments. So I'm
Well,
totally
I'd love
kidding.
feedback from you, Brandon.
I'm totally kidding.
Teach me.
I have. I've just never been humble enough to ask what I could do better. But no, this is massive. Like seeking and getting feedback from others. We hired on a couple new agents, and we do an orientation, and I told him around the 6-month mark, we do some accountability tracking and everything. And we were going down this list, and he was like, okay, so this is where like we kind of evaluate how I'm doing. And I was like, no, actually it's an evaluation for how I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, if I'm going to lead you, I want to make sure that I'm delivering on everything that I promised to you.
Right.
And he's like, man, that's refreshing.
Nice.
Like, you want to know what I'm doing. And so I want to make sure that I'm seeking feedback from others.
For sure.
That would be a great idea to, like you said, even the ones that you don't win, ask, hey, what could I have done better? So you can get it the next time. It's big.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning, next one, cultivate a love for learning.
There you
Always be learning. ABL. Doesn't make any sense, but I just came up with it. But if you have a curiosity and a passion for learning new things, reading books, again, listening to podcasts, you have to have a love for it.
Right.
You don't know everything.
Right.
You will never know everything, or just different perspectives to help you discover more things. You got to fall in love with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, cultivating a love for learning, I kind of equate this to a couple different things, obviously in real estate, but, one of the things for me growing up in church, everybody would be like, man, you need to read the Bible and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I just don't really like it. Like, I don't love reading and stuff like that. When I started to love reading is when I just chose to love it. Like, it's just you have to just commit to loving it. Like, you have to have a love for growing, right? Some people are like, oh, no, I don't like that. I don't love that. I don't buy into that. Well, then change. Like, grow. That's part of it, do it, right? Like, start to love it. Start to love to get better. Start to love that type of improvement and growth. And so you kind of get to choose that. You got natural passions and natural tendencies, but you got to choose some of this stuff too.
For sure.
So,
last one I think is a direct shot at me, but it's to
all your hobbies, dude.
Set realistic goals. If you set goals that are not achievable, like me doing jujitsu or cycling 30 miles a day, it's gonna hit your morale a little bit. So you got to set some goals that are realistic. Of course, you want to set them to where it stretches you to get out of your comfort zone. But look, I'm not going to be good at jujitsu. I should not try to do that. I'm not going to be a ballet dancer. I should not do that.
I'd believe the jujitsu over ballet, but I think you could pull it off. You got that welterweight.
Just stop
body,
telling me because I'm going to go try to do it.
I've done it before too. I told you before about the group of friends. I went through a rut of not working out for years after college, and I realized I had to do something about my health and stuff like that. So I text a group of my friends. I'm like, "Hey, we're training for a 5K tomorrow, right?" And all my friends were in. Like, they're just that awesome, but. It lasted 3 days.
3 days.
As opposed to setting a realistic goal of like, hey, I'm going to start working out this week.
Yep.
And that actually sustained. That actually changed.
Yeah, you got to break it down, more manageable steps, and then celebrate progress along the way.
Exactly. More about the progress, more about the process than the actual destination.
Yep.
So
yeah, you should have a growth mindset by now.
That's it.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this was really important because, again, I think if you're listening to this, you probably already got a growth mindset. Right? Because you wouldn't be listening to it and trying to grow and trying to get better if you didn't already have that. But there may be areas of your life where you've kind of stayed fixed. You're kind of stuck. Consider these different things and kind of do some self-assessment. Maybe ask some others of some areas that you may be stuck to start growing in. Anything else you want to add?
No, man, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Laid it all out on the line here.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart, it means the world that you guys are listening, and we would love to hear your feedback. So if you're listening and you know us, shoot us a text, call, whatever. If you don't, drop us a comment. Leave us a message on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. We would love to hear some more about what you think about all these podcasts. See you soon.
See ya.